Okay, for how many positions across New South Wales, specifically for Parkinson's nurses?
We'd have to take that on notice, Ms Mitchell, but we're trying to move now into it as a standard growth application each year. So with all of our services, they're all subject to growth. So for example, like emergency department would have a particular growth allocation added on top that would include increase of FTE. So we're happy to take it on notice, but that's part of building it into our recurrent budget process so that it grows as our growth budget grows.
So rather than treating it programmatically, I think is the point, so that it's a service that's delivered and it's funded ongoingly.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Is Ms. Wood, is that growth budget linked to projected population growth in the area served by the hospital or the LHD?
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. The issue of illegal tobacco and managing that, which I know is very problematic and certainly has its challenges. I note the Minister issued a media release earlier today about 100 short-term closure orders. Is there, I know some of that information is publicly available. Is that all on the website, those 100 and broken down by region?
It's actually 100. If it was released today, it was 105.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
And it is 105. Sorry, I rounded down. You feel free to get it. But that's all on that register on the website that's available?
That's correct. We update the website around Thursday, I think it's Thursday or Friday, about 3 o'clock, the closures for the preceding week, because sometimes we are operating in a particular region and we don't want to flag that activity by loading them daily. But yes, that is regular, and closures will be a regular part of our operations, as are prosecutions, so that we have those. We're using the full suite of regulatory tools that Parliament has provided us.
And I know, again, there's been some announcements recently by the Minister in terms of the authorised officers and the compliance staff, but how many are currently deployed on the ground to undertake those investigations?
So I think the media statement summarises how many in the team. If you're asking how many people on the ground at the moment, I'll have to just double check, because we do have movement in and out.
Yep.
We also are using, for some of the aspects of the work, we can also use contractors to do some aspects of the work. So for instance, disposal of the products and counting the products. So we are looking at having our workforce quite flexible and using contracting staff for some elements as well.
If you're able to take on notice as best you can, obviously the health staff, but also even the numbers of contract staff, and I appreciate that could fluctuate, but it would just be good to get an idea of I suppose, the level of authorised officers that you've got out and about. For which particular areas that you target, is there a sort of system behind that? Is it just going around the state? Is it when people raise particular issues with you? How do you determine where the activity is taking place?
There's a combination of factors. We do want to spread our activity over the state, because part of the closure orders are, probably shouldn't use this term, but obviously the visibility of the closure orders and the fact that we're out there overtly closing premises is an important signal to other people, tobacconists and others. So we use that. We also then use intelligence we get from police and other a border force and other agencies, and that factors in one component of our work. We obviously have complaints, our complaint line, and so when people are complaining about things, we also are minded to schools or proximity to schools. But at the moment, you've got to admit that there is widespread. So it's not that hard, but we are trying to give move our resources around everywhere, so that there is a sense that even if we went out to Cobar and closed down, so there's a sense that we could be anywhere in closing you down. Yep. And we will be also taking a few cases forward for long-term closure orders to the courts, which is a court process.
And then what's the interplay, you just sort of touched on it then, but with New South Wales Police, obviously if those sort of visits and closures then uncover potential criminal activity, how does that interplay work? Police,
before, the safety of our officers is paramount. And so we have a police liaison that sits embedded within our team, and they can allow risk assessments to be done. So before we would go and schedule visits to any premises, there would be a risk assessment undertaken. And for some premises, we would only attend those premises with police.
Okay.
Generally, when we are closing premises, because you can imagine that's a time when we are going to be shutting down a business for 3 months, we will, all of them to date have been done with police presence. So we work hand in glove with police, and police will accompany our officers. We will, seize any product, apply the closure, and then we'll also continue to monitor that. And then police also, if they're in the vicinity and see breaches of closure, as do the general public, they'll notify us.
Yeah. So that probably leads to my last question on this and I appreciate it's an insidious problem, and that there is effort going into addressing it. But one of the areas, I guess, of community concern is that health comes and shuts them down and does that, but it feels like days later, some of them have the audacity to just open up again. And it's a bit like you're constantly needing to do that. Is there any way to better, I guess, enforce those closures so that you're not wasting resources on going back again and again?
The Parliament is currently got legislation before it, which is the landlord's provision. So that will mean that if we draw it to the landlord's attention that their premise is being used for illegal activity, that will set a threshold for action against the landlord, which you would hope would prompt the landlords to not provide the premises. Yes. We also have seen landlords do help us and assist us. They've put additional padlocks on premises. Many have asked us to provide, the closure. We provide the details of the closure order to the landlords so that they can use that for terminating leases, notwithstanding the ahead of the legislation.
Sure.
So this is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, because it must be frustrating for your staff when they go and close and then people just flout the rulings. But I guess that's difficult.
Yeah,
exactly. But
that's right. And we do also have prosecutions, and I hope that the courts would take a very dim view. Yeah. In addition to selling illegal tobacco, if you've been closed and then continue to do it, I hope that would factor into. It's a matter for courts. I respect that separation, but I would hope that the courts take into account the recalcitrant behaviour of some of these premises, particularly when we're going there for long-term closure orders, but also the prosecutions. So the prosecutions do take a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. They require evidence and court processes. That's why the closure orders are effective. More short-term issue, but they are backed up by prosecutions, which have got very significant penalties. So we are looking forward to those prosecutions coming in under a higher prosecution regime. Some of the prosecutions that we've reported were actually in the legislation that existed 12 months ago. Okay. So hopefully
the tougher penalties might help with some of the issues.
But I think we just need to recognise this is going to take a lot of concerted effort at all levels of government, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time, and I really do understand the community's frustration. As a member of the community, it causes me frustration. So I can understand that it's not great when you can see just such overt flouting of the law.
Yeah, and to Ms Pearce's point, they're breaking the law when they do that. So I think there's furious agreement amongst us all on that one. I'll hand to my colleague.
Just a couple of questions about urgent care clinics. Are they for you, Ms Pearce? Mr Daly? So, Mr Daly, the medical staff in urgent care clinics, are they employed? Are they VMO? Are they locums? How are they staffed, the medical staff?
There's fundamentally two models. One where we contract or establish them at the urgent care centre through a local health district, and they will tend to employ them either on a sessional basis, a VMO, GP, or employed GPs. There are both.
Yes.
Or we contract the service through the PHNs, and they in turn contract on our behalf a group of general practitioners who might come together, and it'll be a contractual arrangement, and that would guarantee minimum labour and hours of operation and those types of things.
And are you finding any difficulties with attracting staff to urgent care clinics?
Yeah, we've had a couple of occasions, mostly where we've contracted with PHNs, which is a little bit ironic considering that PHNs are meant to be much closer to the primary care interface, much closer relationship with general practitioners than ourselves. There have been a couple of examples where we've had to close the service because they simply could not guarantee the workforce. It was becoming sporadic, so people in the community were turning up one day, they could get an appointment the other day.
Yeah, we've had a number of reports of urgent care clinics not being open the advertised hours and people turning up. So on notice, can you provide the list of the clinics that have had to be closed because of staff issues?
Can we clarify though, Mrs. Cutter, that not all of those clinics are New South Wales Health?
Yeah, some might be Medicare. Then there's the Commonwealth Medicare clinics.
So as I understand it, so the urgent care clinics, from what I was reading, it appears that it's a shared activity between Medicare and New South Wales?
There are multiple
Okay.
models, so we can...
Yeah.
If you would like to be specific with us about
well,
the
for example,
areas.
the one in Caringbah, is that New South Wales Health?
Caringbah is. It's funded through New South Wales Health. Yes.
Okay, because we've had reports that Caringbah isn't open the advertised 8 till 8, or it's sometimes it is, sometimes it's not because of staff issues.
Yeah.
So what are we doing to provide it as a service?
I guess it's like any contractual arrangement. You manage the contract, and whilst we engage with the primary health networks, a very collegial sense, we're all here for health. It's still a contract, and we have to performance manage the contract.
Okay.
And I guess where there might be closures for a Saturday when they couldn't staff it, it tends to be a bit of a symptom that they're not sustainable.
Okay. And the Rouse Hill Urgent Care Clinic, is that New South Wales Health?
Rouse Hill, I think, is one of our funded
Okay.
ones. Yes.
So I understand that there's a very limited range of services available at Rouse Hill. Is it standard to just be GP, or is it standard to be GP imaging services? Like, what's the New South Wales health model?
Normally, the contractual arrangement is whether it be through an LHD or PHN, that it would provide general practice support. It would provide nurse practitioner support often, but also having ready access to diagnostics such as medical imaging. And again, that can sometimes be a catalyst for the contract not proceeding if suddenly the arrangements they had in place or thought they had in place, they couldn't actually deliver.
So we've had reports of people presenting at Rouse Hill and then needing ultrasound and or x-rays and being told at 4 o'clock in the afternoon that service isn't available, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon of a weekday seems a reasonable time to expect a radiographer to be present, and then, go to the hospital or take tomorrow off work and go to some other imaging service. It just seems that it's not fulfilling the role that urgent care clinics are meant to, and take the pressure off our emergency departments if they're not being offered with that range of services.
Absolutely, because the idea is to relieve emergency departments. But I mean, those examples, and I can take on notice if you'd like, the circumstances around Caringbah and Rouse Hill.
Yes.
They're the exception rather than the rule. There are 26 of these services that we've set up around the state, and some of them are experiencing what is a national workforce shortage, and so they're finding it just as difficult as
make sure that we don't have these exceptions? Because 2 out of 26 is significant, and they're the ones we're just being told about.
I mean, I'd need to get the data on the frequency of those closures, but I'm very happy to pull that out.
If you could provide that data, that would be great, and also where imaging services are available and when.
Yeah. I mean, the fundamental premise of setting up the urgent care services was to direct patients, particularly triage 4 and 5 patients, away from the emergency departments.
It's a very good model.
It's highly successful, because between 7 and 12% decreases when there's 5 to 6% increase in Cat 1, 2s and 3s presentations.
But I'd appreciate on notice any of the New South Wales ones where they've had to be closed or they haven't opened all hours, and where the imaging is available and is not available in those hours.
Okay.
Thank you.